let's talk about characters. Now, this is rattling around in my head still. Is there a difference between the bears and your rapscallions, or
No,
how? Yeah, let's parse that out.
the bears are rapscallions. I just introduced them in the book before I started the bigger topic of rapscallions.
Right.
Indigenous cultures use characters in order to tell stories, to bring abstract concepts and all other concepts to life and give them character. Memory champions do exactly the same. Cards have character. Uh, I use the Dominic system for numbers, so all my numbers, pairs of numbers are characters, because you can make stories that are vivid, unfortunately violent or vulgar, which works even better,
Right.
but you can bring abstract concepts to life. So the ancient Greeks had Grammatica, who was a character that brought all the grammar rules to life. So I started thinking about this and looking at Indigenous and Aboriginal ancestors, and the Pueblo call them Kachina, and they have about 250 characters who play out the stories in their life. We didn't, when we started testing this in primary schools, I'm talking about Paul Allen and other educators, but he's the art teacher that I worked with in schools. We didn't want to use the term ancestors or Kachina or anything else that was a misappropriation of another culture. So we looked up words to call them. We decided that we wanted to give them lots of characters, so we called them cheekies, except we then Googled that, and you get a lot of bottoms. So we decided that wasn't appropriate.
Right.
Paul ended up coining the term rapscallions. So it's a word that is a ratty little character, but that gave them characters. So the students started making these characters and using them for all sorts of things. But I'll talk about the bears. For French, I have Fleur and Petit Professeur, who's a big female bear and a little male bear. And I associate them with the feminine and masculine
Right.
words. So when we're cooking, anything for feminine, Fleur holds on to, and anything with masculine, Petit Prof does, which means that I've got these images of these objects with the particular bear, which gives me the feminine, masculine. I use Dominic O'Brien's ideas of gender zones, so fruit, if I associate with the fruit shop, it's feminine, with the supermarket, it's masculine. But I also talk to the bears. And this is what I've found with a lot of the language stuff, is you learn a lot of vocab, but putting it together didn't work. So I chat away to my bears all the time,
Right.
which means I have to keep looking up the verbs and the grammar and the sentences in order to have these conversations. And they don't mind that the conversations are continually repetitive.
Right.
Petit Prof doesn't like the fact that he has to hold the bra every morning, because bra in French is masculine, the
Right.
soutien-gorge. He doesn't like the idea vagina is also masculine.
Mm.
So, and we talk about Damien as he goes past, which gives me he, she, them, they, whatever.
Right.
And so by having these conversations with these characters, I'm actually thinking more about language.
Yeah.
And then we can go further into this concept of ancestors, people that Indigenous cultures learn from, not just about.
Right.
And I decided that my own ancestors, I know names back a couple of generations, I don't know much more. So I created a list of 130, because that's a deck of ordinary cards plus a deck of tarot cards, because I use the cards to associate them. 130 characters that I chose from history, across the different disciplines, and started putting them into my memory palaces and into my life. And that has had a huge impact.
Well, in some sense, I feel so vindicated reading your book, because I've been told I'm crazy for some of these things that I've been doing slightly similar approaches. Like, he's not really an ancestor, but that's E.T., all right?
Yeah.
And I follow E.T. all over the place, and he's very good for Chinese. That's E-U-N, little YouTube symbol there, for hospital. And I don't know the extent to which you follow around individual characters through a memory palace, but I think of them as bridging figures. And so E.T. can be used again and again and again, and we have conversations about whatever he might be involved in Chinese vocabulary.
Exactly, and that's a rapscallion. You're using a character in order to bring it to life. So some of them are ancestors, but I also have a whole swag of other characters that will come with me and I will talk with.
Right.
Sometimes it gets to the stage my brain can't cope anymore. I just want to go down the street and just walk. And I have to tell all my characters in landscape to please shut up. St. Augustine won't. He refuses. He jumps out from his lamppost every time without fail. And I wonder whether it's because the quote he said about his memory palaces and how he would take that they'd come to life and he'd just take what he wanted from each one. And he wrote beautifully about it. Whether that's why he insists on being part of absolutely everything. It's interesting how much these characters do come to life.